How are you guys doing today? My name is Brady and welcome to another video here on the channel. I'd first like to apologize for not uploading on my regular every 4-day upload trend. I got sick right after Christmas and I lost my voice and was unable to make videos. But anyways, for about the past month, I've been working on videos dedicated to Skyrim survival mode. I've received good feedback on almost all of those videos, so I figured I'd add another to my series today. In today's video, we will be ranking the races in Skyrim in order from the worst to best to use in survival mode. Before we dive into the video, I'd like to point out that under 2% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, it would mean a lot to me if you would, as it only takes a second and it helps me out tremendously. But anyways, as I'm sure you're aware, each race in Skyrim has its own perks and hindrances to using them, some more than others. In my ranking, I will be taking into account all abilities, powers, and initial bonuses that each race receives. Obviously, I would like to make it clear that this is my opinion and my opinion only, and if you guys do not agree with my opinion, then that is perfectly fine. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. Now with that being said, let's jump into the video. Alrighty, let's start out with number 10, the last race I would choose to play in Skyrim survival mode as, and that will be the Imperials. Why, might you ask? For starters, the Imperials' one and only ability that they are gifted in Skyrim is called Imperial Luck. What this ability does is it allows them to find more gold throughout the world, whether that be in chests, wardrobes, or etc. Sure, this is not a bad ability per se, but it plays basically no part in helping you throughout survival mode. Compare this to other races' abilities, this is at the bottom of the charts. As far as their unique power they possess, they are gifted the Voice of the Emperor power. What this power does is it pacifies all NPCs around them up to level 99 for 60 seconds once per day. This is the most powerful pacify power in the game. The only downside to this power is that it does not work on creatures, only NPCs with the inclusion of vampires. Imperials start out with bonuses of plus 10 restoration, plus 5 block, destruction, enchanting, heavy armor, and one-handed when you load into Skyrim. Unlike other races in Skyrim that start out with an extra spell to their boosted class of magic, the Imperial does not with its restoration magic. So after covering the Imperial, the final grade I will give the Imperial in Skyrim survival mode will be a D-. They have no benefits besides a good pacify perk, which renders them somewhat pointless to use in this mode. Next on our list, coming in at number 9, will be the Red Guards. So for starters with the Red Guards, they similarly to the Imperials only have one ability given to them. This ability being a 50% resistance to poison. This ability is nowhere near the best and nowhere near as good as some of the other races' abilities, as there is another race with this ability plus 2 more abilities later on the list. However, I will say it has more of a benefit in survival mode than the Imperial's Imperial Luck. As far as the power given to the Red Guard, they are given a power called Adrenaline Rush, this power giving them a 10 times stamina regeneration for 60 seconds once per day. Depending on how you build your character here, this power can be very beneficial in combat, giving you plenty more power attacks. Red Guards start out with bonuses of plus 10 one-handed, plus 5 alteration, archery, block, destruction, and smithing, making them a potential very versatile build in Skyrim survival mode. They are obviously not given any additional items, spells, or benefits. So my final grade for the Red Guard in terms of Skyrim survival mode would be a D to D+. This being as yes, they have a resistance to poison, but there is another race with this ability plus some. They also have the potential to be one of the most versatile builds in the game with their starting skill bonuses. These two reasons being why I put them slightly higher than the Imperial. Coming in at number 8, and this one hurts as it's one of my favorite races in the Elder Scrolls series, but this entry will be the High Elf. And you may be asking, how are you putting the High Elf at number 8 when you can make insanely good mage builds with it? And my answer to that is I personally believe there's a better race for mage builds. And this isn't to say that the High Elf is in any way, shape, or form bad. I would just rather play with other races in Skyrim survival mode. For starters, the High Elf will be our first entry here that start off with 2 abilities when you select them. Those abilities being plus 50 Magicka, which is self-explanatory, and our first survival exclusive of plus 25% fatigue resistance. This meaning that your Magicka bar will not have to suffer from being tired as often, as you have more of a resistance to fatigue. High Elves, in my opinion, have the best offensive mage build power, which is called Highborn. This power allows you to regenerate Magicka 25 times faster for 60 seconds once per day. This power by itself is very powerful as it makes you have basically unlimited magic for 60 seconds. High Elves start off with bonuses of plus 10 illusion, plus 5 alteration, conjuration, destruction, enchanting, and restoration, making for an excellent all-around mage build. They are also given an extra illusion spell called Fury, which will allow enemies up to level 6 to attack random enemies. This is good for early game, but isn't useful after long. My final grade for the High Elf in terms of survival mode will be a C. Yes, they are wonderful for mage builds, however I think there is a better mage class out there for survival. Their abilities personally I don't believe are anything too special, as 25% resistance to fatigue is not exclusive to just them, as well as their spell that's given to them not being very useful quickly after starting your journey. Their highborn power is great, there's nothing I can say bad about it, as well as their starting bonuses. Personally, the abilities just set this race back for me in survival. As far as number 7, I would say the Dark Elf. It took me a little while to choose between either them or the High Elf for this spot, but obviously you can see what I chose. The abilities that the Dark Elves start off with are the same plus 25% resistance to fatigue in survival mode that the High Elves have. However, they have a 50% resistance to fire as well, this being what made me ultimately choose them over the High Elf for this spot. Personally, I would just rather have the fire resistance over the plus 50 magicka when fighting other mages, dragons, etc. Dark Elves also have the defensive/offensive power of Ancestor's Wrath, which makes enemies that get close to them take 8 points of fire damage for 60 seconds once per day. As far as this power goes, I love it. It's an extra weapon to help take enemies down, and also acts as the Flame Cloak spell does and gives you basically a shield of warmth. The bonus to warmth is why I would say I prefer the Ancestor's Wrath over the High Elf's Highborn. As far as Dark Elf's bonuses go, they start out with plus 10 Destruction, plus 5 Alchemy, Alteration, Illusion, Light Armor, and Sneak, which make them a wonderful candidate for offensive mage builds. They are also given Sparks off the bat, which is relatively pointless as you can get this spell almost immediately within the first minute of the game in Helgen's Torturer's Room. My final grade for the Dark Elf is a C+ for their resistance to fire, as well as their wonderful power that they are given in Ancestor's Wrath. Their perk starting bonuses are very nice too for offensive mage builds. What hurt them in my opinion is again the fact that I believe there is a better mage race for survival. Also, their 25% resistance to fatigue isn't all that special. It also doesn't help them that they are given a pointless spell off the jump. Coming in at number 6 will be the Argonians. This is a weird race for me because they have very beneficial abilities, but they also have one of the most detrimental flaws at the same time, as you will see. The Argonians come in with the highest amount of unique abilities to the race with 5. However, not all are beneficial, as Argonians, like I said, have a big flaw. This flaw being that they are 25% more prone to cold weather in the open world. This can be a big hindrance to your playthrough if not experienced with survival mode. However, I rank the Argonians near the middle because they do, however, have 4 other beneficial abilities as well, so it sort of evens it out. They have the ability to consume raw food without the risk of food poisoning, as well as 50% resistance to disease, the unique trait to them being able to breathe underwater, which is nice, but they are also going to be more susceptible to cold water. And finally, having an increased bonus to their unarmed attack. Argonians have the power Hit Skin, which is also very nice in survival, as it allows you to regenerate health 10 times faster for 60 seconds once per day. This is a very beneficial power in survival as it still works and allows you to regenerate health, which this is not something you can normally do in survival mode. As far as skill bonuses go, Argonians start out with plus 10 lockpicking, plus 5 alteration, plus 5 light armor, pickpocketing, restoration, and sneak, giving them a little head start to a stealth sort of build. As far as my rank with the Argonian, I rank them as a C+, as I see them very similar to the Dark Elf. However, I believe that they could be a top 3 race if they did not have the vulnerability to cold that they possess. Cracking the top half of our top 10 at number 5 will be the Breton. The Breton, if you haven't watched my top 3 survival mode builds, is the best option for a mage build in my opinion. It only has one ability, and it's not even a survival exclusive, so you might be wondering how I can be ranking it this high. Personally, I believe their ability is the second best ability in the game, that ability being an overall 25% resistance to magic. And no, not any specific type of magic, however all magic. This is an amazing ability for squaring off against mages in combat. Mix this with their dragon skin power, which allows them to avoid another 50% of magic for 60 seconds a day, plus whatever armor bonuses you're having. This is a dangerous combo for any mages that they come up against. Bretons receive plus 10 Conjuration, plus 5 Alchemy, Alteration, Illusion, Restoration, Speech, making them a valid choice for any mage build themselves. They receive probably the best early game spell in the game in my opinion, and Conjure Familiar, which allows them to conjure a wolf companion to aid you in battle. My grade for the Bretons in Skyrim survival mode is going to be a B, even though they have no survival exclusive perk. Their resistance to magic between their ability and dragon skin perks sets them apart for me. Their starting bonuses make them even more valid for any mage playthrough, and their starting spell is the best early game spell in my eyes. Coming in at number 4 on our list is going to be the Nord. The Nord not in survival mode does not usually interest me with its 50% resistance to frost, as I hardly ever come in contact with frost using mages or dragons. I would also like to point out that their resistance to frost does not help you in any way with their warmth. However, their second ability does, with that being plus 25 to your overall warmth rating, this being the biggest boost to your warmth of all races. This is a very beneficial ability as maintaining your warmth is one of the most key things in survival mode. This also makes total sense for the Nord as Skyrim being their homeland, and them being able to resist the terrain. As far as powers go, I would say that they have a pretty mid-tier one in Battlecry. This power just makes opponents flee for 30 seconds once per day. This being useful as it can get you out of some tough situations, however you have to use it accordingly. They start out with bonuses of plus 10 two-handed, plus 5 block, light armor, one-handed, smithing, and speech, making them a valid option for any bladed build. They do not receive any extra spells or anything. My overall grade for the Nord will be a B to B+, as they do not have any real negatives to using them, but they have a huge advantage in their warmth bonuses they receive, placing them in the bottom half of our top 10. Cracking in our top 3 will be the Khajiit. The Khajiit are basically an Argonian without the flaws. They have 3 abilities, one being they do increased damage with their claws because they are a cat. Similarly to the Argonian, they can also consume raw meat without the chance of getting food poisoning. However, the Khajiit possess a plus 15 boost to warmth, a little less than the Nord, but mix that with their ability to consume raw meat, that is what puts them ahead for me. Their power Night Eye, which allows them to see in the dark for 60 seconds once per day, is however somewhat pointless, as you can just crank up your brightness in dark areas to get the same effects. They receive bonuses of plus 10 sneak, plus 5 alchemy, archery, lockpicking, pickpocket, and one-handed, making them one of the best stealth build candidates in the game. My overall grade for the Khajiit is going to be a solid A- as they have solid abilities and are one of the best stealth build candidates in the game. However, they possess no useful power, which brings them down a little on our list. Coming in at number 2 here on our list is going to be the Wood Elf, which I would say is going to be the best option for stealth builds here in the game, as you know if you'd watched my top 3 builds video. Wood Elves possess 3 abilities, 2 being base abilities that in a normal playthrough would not be that beneficial, but in survival mode they are huge bonuses. Those being both a 50% resistance to disease and poison. These being wonderful abilities as both of them can truly hurt your playthrough if contracted. They also possess a 25% resistance to fatigue, just like the Dark Elf and High Elf, which is very nice as well. The Wood Elf has a command animal power which allows it to ally with a nearby animal for 60 seconds once per day. This power is average as it can be useful in certain situations, but rarely will it be usable. They receive some of the best bonuses in plus 10 archery, plus 5 alchemy, light armor, lockpicking, pickpocket, and sneak for a ranged stealth build. The Wood Elf's resistances to both poison and disease mixed with their top tier stealth build potential allow me to give them an A grade as well. The only thing holding me back from giving them an A+ is their weak power that they possess. And finally, coming in at our number 1 spot today, the race I have mentioned in all of my survival mode videos, that being the Orc. The Orc possesses the best abilities for survival mode, no doubt, with a resistance to all 3 survival mode additions. Those abilities being a plus 15 resistance to fatigue and hunger, as well as a plus 10 warmth rating. This making them all around suited for survival and being the only race to have resistances to all 3. They are also given the best power in my eyes, being Berserker's Rage. This power allows them to deal 50% more damage and receive 50% less damage for 60 seconds once per day. They start out with bonuses of plus 10 heavy armor, plus 5 block, enchanting, one-handed, smithing, and two-handed, making them an excellent tank build candidate. My final grade for the Orc will be an A+, as I believe it is the best overall race for survival mode with its abilities, powers, and bonuses. However guys, that will be it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy my rankings. If you guys did enjoy today's video, please leave a like, a subscribe, and a comment down below to support the channel. As always, it was a pleasure making a video for you guys. Peace.